لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. So last class we went over the affair of the delayment of Salat al-Dhuhr in severe heat, the permissibility and the legislativeness of that, and also it being recommended for those reasons of the heat. And the Shaykh Rahimahullah, he mentions that of also of the delayment is that of a very short period of time, or enough where the shadow, whether a shadow might form from that object or from a wall or such as that, in order to screen the person from the heat of the sun. And that was benefited from that of Imam San'ani in dealing with that from the narration of that of Abi Dharr, where the Prophet ﷺ would delay it until that of, or he told the man to delay the mueddin, abrid, until there was a shadow formed from that particular object. So that would be the delayment until the breaking of the heat, or the heat is lessened by article of shade or other than that, or something of that nature. So today, inshallah, we will go into the affair of dealing with what Shaykh Ali Bassam has brought forth, of dealing with the prostrating on a ha'il between one's forehead and the ground, because of that of the heat or other than that. And as was mentioned in the beginning of the chapter, that this hadith is not in its proper place, that the Shaykh moved it from, I believe, 2 hadiths before that, dealing from that, he took it from the place of the hadith of Abi Hurairah, and dealing with Jabir not praying in, or Abi Hurairah not praying in one garment. And then he moved it to here. I don't know if that's correct or not, but it was basically to a hadith that he took it from that spot and moved it to this spot, because of the connection that it has with the hadith before it. But likewise, this hadith also has a connection with the hadith that he moved it from, and we will discuss that connection in a brief second. So this hadith is the hadith of Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu. قال كنا نصلي مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في شدة الحر فإذا لم يستطيع أحدنا أن يمكن جبهته من الأرض بسط ثوبه فسجد عليه. So here is that we used to pray with the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the severe heat. So when one of us would prostrate and we were not able to affixate our foreheads on the ground because of the severe heat, that we would lay out our garment or his garment and prostrate over it, or prostrate on it. In this hadith there in Bukhari and Muslim, dealing with that of the connection of that of showing the intense heat of the Dhuhr prayer at that time, that the companions would pray at that time with the Prophet ﷺ. But as we see, this is not a contradiction to what we've just read, as the Shaykh Rahimahullah will make it clear in his explanation. It was wrong, right? Yeah, the order is messed up. So this is actually 3 hadiths, I think, after. How many? What is it? What should it be now? It should be now the hadith of Anas also, man nasiya salat. So what's after that hadith? The hadith of Jabir. And then there's then it's this one. So he took it from the hadith. The hadith's original place was between the hadith of Jabir ibn Abdullah and Abi Hurairah, right? And then he moved it to after the hadith of Abdullah bin Umar wa Abi Hurairah, dealing with the severe heat of Dhuhr, delaying Salat al-Dhuhr because of the severe heat, right? So that was the movement. We discussed that in the beginning, but this is the actual movement. So those who don't have the explanation and are following in the actual metin of Umdaatul Ahkaam, that it's actually the hadith which comes between the hadith of Jabir and the hadith of, what's the number of your hadith that you got? 119. So 119, the hadith number 119 is the actual hadith that we are on. So here is that which was explained from that hadith. So the Shaykh rahimahullah, he mentions in the summarized meaning that from كانت عادة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أن يصلي بأصحابه صلاة الظهر من أيام الحرم, that he would pray from the common practice of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, that he would pray with his companions Salat al-Dhuhr in the days of severe heat, whether it be that of the atmosphere, وحرارة الأرض ما تزال باقية. So because of the severe heat in the atmosphere or whatever, the heat would remain on the ground. That the weather might have got a little bit cooler, but the earth, the sand, or whatever the case may be, still remained hot because of that severe heat. And this is something which would make those who were praying behind him, that they would not have the ability to affixate their foreheads or their faces on the ground, so they would lay out their garments, or open up their thiyabihim, or thiyabahum, that they would open up their garments. And they would prostrate on top of them to protect them from the heat of the earth. So how would that be done? Allah knows best on the exact mannerisms of how they would take the garment of the thobe or whatnot, or an extra piece of thobe. But here it's that of, well, the Shaykh will get into it. But the connection is clear between this hadith and the hadith that was before it, for that of that. So now what's the connection between this hadith and the place where he took it from? That of dealing with, do not pray in one garment. Huh? Anybody want to take a shot at it? The connection, okay, Imam Maqdisi, he put the hadith before this hadith that we just read, before the hadith of Abi Hurairah, where the Prophet commanded not to pray in one garment. So now what's the connection between Imam Maqdisi's fiqh of placing this in his sequence, this hadith before the hadith of Abi Hurairah, and then the wisdom of the Sheikh Ali Bassam of moving the hadith from that place to here? So the wisdom behind Ali Bassam is clear. What's the clear connection? Of the severity of heat, of Dhuhr, that the companions, because of it being so hot, and the earth remaining hot, that they would do what? Lay out their garment and prostrate on top of it. So now what is the connection between this hadith, understanding of that with the garment, and that of the hadith of Abi Hurairah, where Imam Maqdisi originally placed it? Yeah. Okay. No, contrary. Contrary, that they wouldn't have what? They wouldn't have a lot of garment. So now, where is the connection? That's the connection of that, to say, don't pray in one garment, but make sure that you have enough garment to do what? That you would have enough to prostrate over that particular area like that. But now also is that what is known, and that what is common knowledge is that the Sahaba at that particular time were known for what? Not having a lot. Not having a lot of garment, not having a lot of extra, not having a lot of excess clothing of dealing with that. So the fact that to show that don't pray in one garment, but pray in enough of a garment to do what? That you'll have, that you'll have that excess to lay out. And don't exceed. So basically the sequence of both of the sheikhs, or one being the Imam and the other being the Sheikh Ali Bassam, are both connected. They're both connected, and they both show the strong understanding and wisdom and fiqh that these two scholars had. So don't pray in one garment, but when you do pray, make sure that you do have enough garment. Meaning, that don't make it so restricted that you don't have anything extra. But then at the same time, the amount that you should have enough of garment is what? That you would have enough to prostrate on you, protect you from certain elements that might be taking place at that time. So the movement of the hadith, understandable, and the placement of Imam Maqdisi, that hadith in that area of dealing with the garment, is also what? Understandable. So it wasn't that it was placed in a wrong spot, or this spot is better than that, but both of them, both established that of fiqh and understanding. So what is achieved from the hadith? The first thing is that the waqt salat al-nabi bi ashabihi dhuhr fi ayyam al-hal huwa ba'da inkisam al-harara al-shams wa baqa' atharaha fil ard. So the time that the Prophet ﷺ would pray with his companions dhuhr in the days of severe heat is after the heat of the sun was diminished a little, that it became lessened. But the effects of that heat remained in the earth. So, meaning that what? That the Prophet ﷺ would delay dhuhr, but this is not showing that, as some people might use to try to establish that they would pray it at the first time because Anas and the Sahaba would use what? A piece of garment to protect them from what? That severe heat. The severe heat of what? The sun or the ground? The ground. Not so much the sun, so now it's cooled, but now the heat remained where? On the ground. So not contradicting the first hadith which we read of Abdullah ibn Umar and Abi Hurairah, where he said delay it because of the severity of the heat. But now it's not saying that. They didn't delay it, but what remained in the earth? That heat. So now what are they protecting themselves from? The heat of the sun or the heat of the ground? The heat of the ground, not so much the sun, because why? It's not as intense as it was, as it was when Dhuhr first come in. Number two, the permissibility of prostrating on a barrier, like a ha'il, something that will, a barrier between you and the ground. Min thawb wa ghayrihi. Min a garment or other than it. When it is in need. In the haja ilayhi min al-ham wa bard wa shawk wa nahu dhalik. So when there is a need for it, from the elements, from those particular elements of the heat, the sun, or other elements on the ground of whatever, that you would need a particular garment or something there between your head and the ground, such as a prayer rug, such as a garment, such as anything that would fall under that case. And he continues, and some of the scholars, they expand fasl fi sujud ala al-ha'il, that they go into a little bit more detail in prostrating on an object or a barrier. That verily, if that garment is separated from you, meaning that it's not from your garment, meaning your thobe or the tail of your imama, or what is it called? The turban there, that little cloth that hangs out from the back, or something else of other than that, something that is not directly in contact with you, such as a prayer rug, such as a rag, such as anything that is not connected to you, that if it is not connected to you, عن مصلي كسجادة ونحوها جائز ولو بلا حاجة, that it is permissible even if it is not a need for it. So to pray on a prayer rug or something similar of that nature, that it is permissible even if there is not a need for it, and without any dislikement or displeasurement in doing so. وَإِن كَانَ مُتَصِلًا بِهِ, and if it is connected to him, such as, the edge of his garment or other than that, then it is disliked except if there is a reason. So if it's a prayer rug, what else do people do? Like a rag, like you take your kufi off and put it there. That's a good point. We'll get to that in a second. Or maybe like anything that you would pray on, such as that nature, that this is permissible any way, shape, or form. Any way, shape, or form without any dislikement. Because there's many narrations that the Prophet ﷺ would pray on a rug. From them, the hadith of Anas, which we took, that they put forth a mat for him when they came to Salim's house. That there was a mat in the corner and the Prophet prayed upon it. And other than that, from proofs that the Prophet would pray upon something of a ha'il. But now they say that with the garment, that it is only of that in a time of need, such as extreme heat or cold or other than that. And here, as the brother mentions that of dealing with the kufi, I don't really think that the issue of that is with the kufi or the headpiece of the male. The main issue of that is that of the imamah or the turban. Now the turban there would be a preventer, or it could be a sense of preventer from an individual placing his whole face on the ground. Because if it comes out, supposed to come out a little bit, stick out a little bit. So that would be a preventer. But at the same time, there is nothing really authenticated in where the Prophet ﷺ would do such. But you do have many narrations on the Imam from Shafi'i wa Malik and Imam Ahmed and other than them, that they disliked the idea, and that some of them, from them Imam Malik, would command to raise it up a little bit, like how pull it back a little bit, but not because of this reason, but because of the reason why. Because of the being a preventer or preventing the individual from putting his face on the ground. So does a kufi prevent? No, it doesn't prevent. It doesn't prevent anything from, for instance, your forehead touching the ground and your nose being maybe like a couple inches from the ground. Now the kufi doesn't do that. And then if the argument goes back to then if you go to that about a kufi, then what about your socks? What about gloves? What about your knees? These other body parts which is obligatory to touch the ground. If you're going to make a break between that of the kufi as well as the rest, then you have to do it for the rest. So meaning that you have to do what? Lift your pants up to, so your knees touch, which would, under some of the position of the ulama, nullify your prayer because now you're doing what? Exposing your awrah under those who see it to be of, above the knee. And other than that. So the purpose behind the movement of the imams of the turban is because of that reason and not because of this reason. Not because of this reason, which is being mentioned here of that of placing one's head on the ground. So that would be, a kufi wouldn't be a big issue. And then likewise, what about the khimar for the woman? She's got a khimar, and a khimar is going to come to here maybe. Or what if she lifts her niqab up? That's going to be on her forehead also. Then what would be the separating factor from that? So the kufi, it's not the issue of the kufi. It's the issue of that of the turban that would prevent an individual from placing his face fully on the ground. Because they didn't wear kufis back then, you know. Kufis wasn't a thing. The origin, a kishaf there. They like how a little piece here, the part of the turban. Because the turban goes around. So you have a little piece there to cover that. So that's, you know, Allah knows best. The kufi is the lazy man protection, head covering. Because the turban take a little bit of work, you know, so Allah knows best. So. But it's still good. It's still good to wear a kufi. But the issue of that isn't, you know, not with the imma that they would wear the turbans, and other than that from that. So here, a tawfiq bayna hadithain. So now bringing harmony between these two narrations, meaning that of this hadith of Anas as well as the hadith which we read in the previous class. الظاهر هذين حديثين متقدمين تعارض. The apparentness of this hadith and the hadith which came before it, they oppose and contradict one another. And this is why some of the ulama have tried to bring harmony between the two of them. And what was the best thing which was mentioned from the many statements is that which the Jamhur ulama have mentioned, that it is better في شدة الحر والإبراد كما في حديث الأنس. It is mentioned أنهم كانوا يبردون بالصلاة, that they would delay the salat al-dhuhr until the severe heat of the sun diminished. ولكن حرارة الأرض باقية, the heat of the earth, it still remained with that. Because the coolness, it comes after شدة الحر كثيرة. It comes after the cooling of the weather by a lot. So just because the heat of the sun has died down, it's not going to mean that the heat of the earth likewise has died down. So because of that, they were in need of that, of something to prostrate upon or a barrier to prostrate on. وَلَيْسَ مَرَادْ بِإِبْرَادْ مَطْلُوبْ أَنَّ تَبَرَّدْ الْأَرْض. So the ibrad, or the coolness that is being requested, is not of the coolness of the earth. But in fact, it is that to break the severity of the heat of the sun and the coolness of the body. So that is dealing with that of the issue of prostrating upon some type of garment out of a necessity from yourself. This also proves to us that a small movement in the salat does not affect it, because obviously you would have to take some movements to do such, whether it be that of taking from your izar, or other than that from something to prostrate upon or something. So any slight movements of that nature because of a hajj does not, do anything for your prayer or nullify your prayer. And likewise, this hadith also can be placed under that of the importance of khushu' in the salat, of that of having awareness and preserving that and trying to take the mannerisms in preserving one's prayer and making sure that it is being performed in the most perfect manner which he has the ability in, from that of protecting oneself from those things which will distract him from the awareness in the prayer. So you're prostrating on the hot ground. Of course that's going to be a trial for many people. You prostrate on the ground, especially if you follow an imam, where he might delay his prostration, and you have to, basically put your face on, hot ground. It's a trial. You're not going to have the same awareness in the prayer as one who is prostrating normally. So from that also can be placed under that of preserving one's prayer under protecting his prayer from things which will distract him in it, basically. So that is the hadith that dealing with that. So we will go in. As a matter of fact, Sunday there will be no class. Neither of that or the tafsir of this class. I have engagement. So we will continue, inshallah, on Thursday, inshallah. But when we do, we will come and mention that of the hadith of Anas, about the prayers that one misses, the prayers that one miss, from that of the obligatory prayers, as well as the ratiba. And here, inshallah, we will also discuss, at least for one brother, the issue of the prayer missed, that after Salat al-Asr. Praying after Salat al-Asr, what is the preferred position of Sunnah after Asr? So we will discuss that issue likewise on Thursday. Yeah, I got it. I didn't read it all yet, but I'm working on it. So, because this is what he discusses in his ikhtilaf. So we will continue Thursday. Again, there will be no class on Sunday, not tafsir or... well, matter of fact, there could be tafsir between Maghrib and Isha. We'll see. Nah, just cancel it, because I'm not gonna try and rush it, and then if I miss it, make it. Inshallah, we'll continue on Thursday, inshallah, after Isha. So if there's no questions, comments, concerns, or advices, then we will stop here, inshallah.